Well, it's been a good minute since I've done one of these. I did a poll a while back and you guys requested me to do the episode tier list first, so here we are. Now I do have a special guest joining me here, Leo Scordo Simpson. Go support his channel and just name any SolarBalls character and he'll do pretty much the identical voice to the official show, so.
Yeah, you think my only purpose is to be a giant space light bulb?
Greetings, YouTube. I am here with Uranus is here, and we're basically just going to be ranking each SolarBalls video according to the day it was published, and we're just going to get started here.
Now, a few things to clarify before we begin. For one, this is solely opinion-based. And also, this video is kind of meant to celebrate 1 year of SolarBalls by ranking most of the episodes, like, within the first year we got of the show. Like, I believe the Exposed to Vacuum of Space episode was the closest we actually had to have been uploaded, like, exactly a year later from the first episode, but because we're doing this video right after Up to the Moons of Jupiter Part 1, we might as well just include the newer ones. So, go support the SolarBalls channel, of course. I'm pretty sure most of you watching are already subscribed, but if not, do it. Okay, now let's begin. Starting with the first episode, space was normal, they said. I mean, it's the first episode.
To be honest, I think it's a great way to start a YouTube channel. If I'm just gonna be honest, it just like focuses on the protagonist, like his career and the lore about him, like his family and all. Like, hey, I'm going to be going to space. You're probably not going to see me for a while, and he goes to space, and we discovered he has like a jerky boss and all.
We get to know everything we could know, simplified, of the main character. So we're gonna put this in the A tier. Like, not Sun Trophy, but yeah, I think that's an appropriate spot. Next up, we got...
it's a good way to start off.
Definitely. We got, What If the Sun Disappeared? So, this one's a classic.
I do think that this video is nice to some extent because it kind of just, I don't know, just gives off personality of every planet.
It's a pretty solid introduction of the inner system.
Like Jupiter's the big brother and the sun, a psychotic star who just wants to destroy everyone.
Yeah, and like we pretty much get the impression that like Venus is like the no-nonsense type, and like Earth kind of started off as like a stupid experimental type person. And also like that background cameo of Saturn, like I just used to think he was creepy as hell. All he did was just smile until he gained a voice. So I'm gonna put this in B tier, near the top. Next episode is What If Planets Collide? So this one has, of course, the classic Taiwan going, "What the heck is that?"
Featuring country balls.
So I'm gonna put this in A tier, but probably right below the first episode, so. Also, like, the episode kind of dived more into Earth's kind of foolish personality, kind of influenced by his Earthlings itself, and that becomes a trend throughout the show, so.
Yes.
Alright, next up, My Best Friend, the Sun. So this thumbnail cracks me up every time I look at it. This episode was kind of the introduction of Mercury as a character, and his relationship with the Sun, which we see kind of a softer side of him, but still rather manipulative. Like,
I do really like this episode. This was actually the first video I voiceovered on, and I do like it gives a bit of personality between the Sun and Mercury. It's just how they're like relatively close to each other, what Mercury has to deal with.
This one will also go in the A tier, right below, right there. So next up is Can We Survive on Mars? So now this would obviously take place after the whole space trash incident, with Mars kind of being the go-to place for Astro Dude. Like this episode's especially important to the lore as it's kind of a foundation for what's to come later with the whole like SAR and more of Houston, and it kind of diverges the whole show into like half Astro Dude focused and half like talking planets, and sometimes they kind of intertwine with each other. A tier, I guess. Okay, next episode is nostalgic. It's, Is Pluto a Planet Again? So this was my first SolarBalls episode I ever watched, so it's a classic. It's gotta be the Sun Trophy, honestly.
I do agree. We just get a view of like all the planets and what their potential personality would be. Yeah, what Pluto's personality is. He's all alone. He's not a planet anymore, and he wishes he was a planet.
Like, even though the episode was like Pluto's dream sequence, it was still the first to include like everybody, like all the planets, including like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and like apparently in Pluto's dream, Neptune was completely normal, probably referring to how Neptune used to be before he gone missing. So, okay, we're moving on to Why Is There Only Life on Earth? So for a classic episode, this one wasn't bad.
like going from oldest to newest. I do think that this video is good to some extent. It kind of just like shows off like, you know, Earth has life and all, but it's hiding a dark secret within it. You know, reveals some stuff about the Earth.
Like, this episode did have a good message in it that, like, there are advantages to not having life at all, and it was kind of the start of the whole Earth space trash, like, arc. And I consider this the episode where we actually see Mars as a character. Like, I feel like his passive yet rather nerdy personality totally beats out, like, what he's became today. Alright, this one will go in B tier. Next up was Missing Venus. So when I first got into the show, this episode hasn't came out yet, so it was the first episode I got to experience, like, coming out, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, it had some real-life lore tied into it with, like, Venus missing. I think at the time, Venus was actually on the other side of the solar system than the other planets, like, in real life, so.
It's educational. I mean, all these are classics we're going through.
I'm gonna put this episode in near the top of B tier right there. So, next up is why do we want to move to Mars? I believe that's what the episode was called. So, this one was definitely emotional.
I was about to say it's kind of sad, just, you know, like Earth talking to Mars. Like, this is why my Earthlings want to move to you.
Yeah.
Just dreaming about you is easier.
And it had, like, very good background details, I thought. The sun smiling, dancing with Mercury, whatever it was doing, and the moon just snatching the cards. And alright, this one will have to go somewhere near the top of A tier, so. Next one is, what if the moon went away? So this was the introduction of Phobos and Deimos.
This one is a true classic. It's classic at its highest.
Yeah, it's like their second most popular video after the moon drifting away episode, so. And also we hear the moon's voice for the first time in the episode, so. Next up is The Secret of Venus. Alright, Venus arc.
This one was great. What I really like about it is just how clever this episode was, just how the irony is just at its absolute height. Who Venus really is, like, but he's named the Roman goddess of love. And
many people at the time were complaining tirelessly, like, why Venus isn't a female in the show, but honestly, it's like that's kind of the main point of why they made him a male, because that would make it even funnier. The blackmailing thing. Alright, this one will go right below the moon episode, right there in the A tier. So, next up we got Venus Wants a Makeover. So this one had the introduction of Saturn with his voice debut, so this one's gold.
Also Uranus as well. I believe so.
Yeah, Uranus was in it. Also at the ending, like, Venus killing Mercury. I wanted to see the sun's reaction to that.
It just makes me wonder. Like...
Next up is, will Mercury explode? So, we definitely needed this episode, as it shows at least some way Mercury could kind of fit in Earth-like wise, even if it's not the way he was picturing it. But I don't know, I feel like this episode could have been a little more, maybe like diving more into like his density and like his Earth-like composition, but I'll give it the top of the B tier. I mean, it was expanding Mercury's arc away from just being the sun's pet. Alright, next up, is space bad for you? So this one is definitely a standout from the previous, in my opinion, as we get to know so much more about Astro Dude's family in just this 1 minute episode.
Got kind of sus at the end, and SolarBalls kind of saved it. It was on the brink of literally just turning into an adult show.
Maybe above the first episode, because yeah, it was really when the show was kind of starting to get popular with lore and stuff, so. Next up we got, is there sound on Mars? So this one was probably one of my favorites.
I think that's what makes it good. Gives a bit of lore to Astro Dude.
Bro's literally wasting resources and putting his job on the line just for his wife. Next up is Mercury not a planet episode? So
on this one episode, like you thought how the introduction of the Galilean moons was going to be like, I'm Mercury, I'm too small.
I am so bad at predicting personalities of new characters, I swear. Definitely, I like this better than the other Mercury episode with Is Mercury Shrinking? I'll put right above My Best Friend the Sun. It's pretty good. Next up is, can planets share an orbit? So pretty much I like this. Yeah.
I think it was one of the funniest SolarBalls videos ever made.
Mercury, like, totally steals the crown on this video. Like, him actually showing his security, actually developing as a character for once, and I honestly want to see a sequel to this episode.
What I really like about it is just like Mercury picking a fight with the sun and Venus. No, this is gonna go my way. And Jupiter steps in and kind of gives like Mercury the little kid advice.
And Mercury is like the only one that could actually like make the sun do something. He's just completely aggressive with everyone else.
Because they're best friends.
Yeah.
I do want to see a follow-up video to that one.
Next up is Meet Neptune. Oh boy, this was like the one at the time that everyone was waiting for. Neptune's voice. This one has to go in the A tier, honestly. Like,
straight up.
This was like the first outer system only focused episode, and also kind of the first one to tie into like past lore with like the outer planets at least. A tier. I'm gonna put this right here. Next up is the dark side of the moon. So
this one was questionable for me. It wasn't really eventful. I mean, we got to learn some of the moon's personality, but I just feel like a lot more could have happened in this episode if it was like longer and all.
At least it was the type of episode to kind of talk sense into people that just like believe these myths. Like, even if the moon is tightly locked, I mean, in the show, all the objects can just like move around wherever, so.
Well, how about we set that one just B.
B tier, right there. Okay. All right, next up is the series episode. So this was the first introduction of series. I enjoyed this episode.
I think it was great personally. Like I said, what I like about SolarBalls, it just keeps up with introducing new characters, just kind of reveals some stuff about them. We found out that Sirius is just a psychotic.
I mentioned in my old good evil list that he was basically kind of the ghost child of the solar system. Definitely in the A tier somewhere, right below the Earth and Mars one. There we go. Okay, next up. Why does Saturn have rings? So this episode I think is very important to the lore.
It kind of just lifts off the rocket into the whole moon beef.
Like, Neptune is the one that started the whole moon incident in the first place by deliberately pissing everyone off with his questions. Like, we had a lot of Jupiter already, but I consider this the episode where we actually get to know the other three gas giants. Like we saw the clumsy yet emotional nature of Saturn, we saw the rather insecure Uranus, and obviously the weird uncle in Neptune.
Neptune is like a little brother of Uranus in this episode. He kind of just accidentally reveals something that's embarrassing about this planet or that planet, or just kind of makes Saturn cry.
Yeah, and Astridu being kind of the neutral agent of chaos also, with he revealed the secret that just triggered everyone, so definitely in the A tier. And it also appears this episode is also starting the arc of Uranus's moons too.
Our first 8-minute long video.
Okay, this one, I mean, it was definitely more on the educational side than lore side, but I mean, it was a good way, I think, to start off the long videos.
Kind of give an idea how the moon and the Earth get along with each other.
So if you're more into lore, then it may be a little slow paced for you, but like, it was a good way to start, so I think we gotta put it in A tier, the What If the Moon Leaves episode. Next up is Can We Replace Our Sun? So yeah, this one I believe was like the first mention of like another star system, which was Proxima Centauri.
I find it pretty exciting, but a lot more could have happened in this episode. That's just my opinion. I thought it was pretty entertaining for the most part.
It definitely had some potential to be like...
What I don't like is back in the episode, what if the sun disappeared? And like kind of moves on to this episode, that episode, in chronological order. They kind of could have put it all together in an 8-minute video.
So I'm going to put it on the C tier, but we're definitely not going to have any episodes in the D tier, because I don't want to be mean. Like, they work hard on these, and like... yeah, this channel means the freaking world to me with my channel, so. But next up is, what is the Earth building? So, like, this was decent, not my favorite, but, like, to be fair, these episodes do show a side to Earth where he actually, like, cares about not only his Earthlings and, like, him having life to keep his habitability, but also, like, his friends from the sun's psycho nature, so.
I thought it was okay. Like I said, SolarBalls never fails to upload great content. But sometimes, like, I kind of say, like, there could have been more to this episode.
I mean, we of course saw Mars and Venus being themselves, which, like, just, hey, Earth! And then we got, like, Mars just being like, this is a really bad idea. Like, you know. But one detail I did like is, like, the moon actually had sense. Like, he was just nodding his head, which shows a lot about his personality, you know. I'm gonna put this on the B tier. Actually, right there. Okay. All right, next up is the Uranus Stinks episode, or The Secret of Uranus.
Yes. This episode, probably, I think, the smartest video SolarBalls has ever made. I think it was funny, like, in every area of this video because of just, like, how Uranus is, like, to Neptune. Hey, like, quiet, quiet. And then, like, out of nowhere, like, all the planets find out that Uranus stinks.
It's a classic story if you wanted to have, like, any planet ball episode. Like, Uranus's personality is, like, perfect to go along with, like, his insecure behavior. Like, it's a common space joke. Like, iconic stories like these, like, with Uranus Stinks and, like, even like Pluto not being a planet, these just fit into SolarBalls well.
I honestly think this deserves a Sun trophy.
I'm gonna put it, probably in third place so far. Next up, can Jupiter turn into a second sun? I mean, it was decent. I like that Jupiter kind of had his authoritarian side to him.
It's kind of the first time we see Jupiter go off, make the inner planets understand, like, hey, this is who I am, and you gotta stick with it. You gotta stop being anxious about the sun. I mean, like I said, there could have been more to this episode. I thought it was decent to some extent.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it near the top of the B tier, right below the sun disappeared up. Okay, next up, we're like halfway through the list already, so next up we got the moons of Saturn. Oh boy. Okay, at the time, this was the episode I was most hyped to see so far when it first came out.
Yes, I wasn't even making YouTube videos when all these videos came out, and I was excited even, and I think it just really kicked off the deep SolarBalls lore.
Like, Saturn's moons were just worked into the show perfectly, in my opinion, especially with their interaction with Saturn, and most of the major moons getting their own personalities. Like, I'm not going to name them all, but basically, Titan is, like, the main character and kind of an enthusiast for, like, habitable conditions, and basically the other smaller moons just fighting for justice after they discovered how Saturn's rings were formed, so.
I think it's an A, but not a Sun trophy.
It was, yeah, probably top of the A tier. Next up, we got the Moon meets Titan. So this one's definitely up there too. It was short but good.
I do like how even after the Moons of Saturn episode, we got to know a little bit more about Titan and how he's interested in meeting the Earth, who just kind of follows up with the Moons of Saturn.
Not like a whole lot to say, because I mean, it was short. You pretty much got to know what you got, like just the moon meeting another moon that's unusual, like bigger than Mercury and has Earth-like traits. I'm gonna put it probably right below the Venus episodes. There we go. Okay. Next up, we got the Truth of Titan. Oh boy, this is what got the train rolling.
This one is tricky for me because, like, I didn't expect like 3 videos to be uploaded in chronological order according to the dates they were uploaded.
It was definitely the first time where everyone actually started hating Earth as a character. Like, he became a racist prat in this episode. It's really important to the lore, so I'm probably gonna put it up here in the A tier. Definitely.
Pluto's a huge moon.
This one, I mean, I can't really make a final decision until we actually get the Dwarf Planet episodes, but like, for what it is, I think this is also very important to Pluto's arc. Like, Chiron is like the only moon that enjoys actually being a moon, and she was just executed well, in my opinion, being like the only one that actually appreciates Pluto, and they're in some kind of relationship where Pluto has a rather disdain for it. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, right there. Okay, the first Sun Trophy episode is next. You want to do the honors?
Yes, and boy, oh boy, I have a lot to say about this one video right here. Like, the top of the tier list kind of speaks for this video because it just kind of reveals like so much of what the planets do in their free time. Like the sun calls all the planets to get out of their orbit and just come near me. Like, this is what we're going to be doing. Like, we're going to celebrate what makes each planet unique. And it just kind of gives Mercury a bit of a break, being like the punching bag of the solar system. The sun embraces Mercury being the closest planet to every other planet.
They're definitely good episodes to have every now and then. Like, yeah, also Neptune like is absent, which makes sense. But Pluto, I think, had a cameo in this episode just to see if he was invited or not, because like he was just demoted.
I just love how he's just above the sun.
Yeah, this one definitely deserves someplace up here. Okay, next up is the space trash problem. So
a lot more could have happened in this episode. Out of all these videos SolarBalls makes, like, they just later on in like several months make follow-up videos, and they literally could have just taken all these videos and just made them into one long video, which could have saved them. That's just my opinion. This wasn't a really eventful episode. It was entertaining. That saves it for the most part.
I mean, as a guy with a passion of cars, I loved the cameo of like the original Tesla Roadster in the video, but I think the few following up episodes to this, I think, were done much better in my opinion, but it was fine for what it is. But yeah, I think C tier for now. Next up is a store in space episode. So I mean, not much to say. I mean, it was just promoting their merch, right? And like the store got shut down like a few weeks later, so B tier. I mean, now that we got a newer version, this video is kind of pointless now, but oh yeah, it had that iconic extra thing at the end, so
that was funny.
Yeah, I'll probably put this right there on the B tier. Okay, will robots conquer space? Oh boy.
Yes.
This one, Sun Trophy for sure.
Sun Trophy, just put it there.
Yeah, on top.
It's literally just a teaser.
Yeah.
The Astro did movie.
It's the start of the whole arc, including probably the movie coming up, which I know Sar is gonna be one of the antagonist in it. Like, you guys go watch the video. I'm not gonna like explain every reasons, because just go watch it. Like, basically it's setting up a whole other side to SolarBalls, like away from just talking planets with Astro Dude against like the main antagonist of the show, which I think is a very smart setup to have like Sar, this evil robot, basically collecting every other forgotten robots that were just made to explore space just for Earthlings. And we've seen throughout the show that some of these like robots, rovers, or the Venera robots, are actually like partially sentient. Okay, can we drink water from Mars? So I like this episode because it had some beautiful shots, like Astro Dude in the North Pole of Mars. This was definitely when the graphics actually started to improve drastically, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see it being that way, but it just wasn't too eventful, in my opinion. I think more could have happened.
It could have been like a longer video, like sort of like the Mission to Titan Part 1, where he actually drills into the surface to get water, but like, I mean, it for the time it was decent. So bottom of A tier for me. Next up, we got Is Earth Special. Okay, this one is definitely eventful.
It starts off the whole beef with Earth and Mars and the moon.
This is the first appearance of Mars kind of getting defensive, you know, like his flawed side with like, he's been friends with Earth all these years, but now he finally snaps.
Yeah, it could have been more.
In my opinion, it was pretty important to the lore, so I'm gonna put it like not on top of the A tier, there in the middle. Okay. Next up is the Steve Taylor episode. So this takes place right after Astro Dude arrives in space. So this one's pretty good. What do you say?
Yeah, I think it's really good. I like how it's the first video where they have a YouTuber come in and just kind of, I don't know, advertise their videos a bit.
And that became a trend, like every now and then throughout the episodes, which I love. It was definitely important. I mean, like, watching the whole show in chronological order, I think it's pretty important to know like the traits that make a planet, so I'm gonna put it right below. Okay, next up is Are Asteroids Dangerous? This episode. Yeah, this one I feel like could have added a lot more to it.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't have a lot of lore to it. I do like that Phobos and Deimos almost got smashed by a huge asteroid.
Yeah.
in their asteroids.
That was a good detail. And like more of their silly hours. When it comes to like the lore and stuff and like what they say, I feel like you could just go ahead and watch the series episode instead and just not miss anything, like the mention of dinosaurs. But like, I mean, it was okay, but probably top of C tier. Okay, now we got Surviving Venus Part 1. Okay, these are good.
Yes.
Maybe not Sun Trophy, but definitely up here, I will say.
Like it just gives Venus's irony an appearance right after the Venus's Secret episode.
I'm debating whether I like the Venus arc better than the Titan arc, but like, I mean, Venus is kind of the secondary main character besides Earth when it comes to the planets, so like he's obviously very important. So yeah, A tier definitely. Pretty much Astro Dude just landing on Venus. We know some facts about Venus, has a good mix of lore and education, in my opinion.
Gives a bit of antagony to these.
Okay, next up we got Uranus equals Neptune. So I do feel like this episode's rather important to the lore, even if it's like kind of more on the educational side. I mean, it does take place right after Neptune meets Pluto, and considering that like Neptune's supposed to be reuniting with Uranus, I feel like this episode could have been like more emotional in a way. Like,
I don't like how this video kind of started a whole, question. Like, is SolarBalls running out of ideas? Because this was kind of like an episode where it was not too eventful, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it did start like the whole Finding Neptune arc, but like near the top of B tier there. Okay. All right, next up we got My Best Friend Venus. Okay.
Now we're kind of falling down a bit. I personally think that this episode was not too bad, but just kind of, I don't know, doesn't give too much what the future holds for the episodes like right after Earth Special and all.
Wasn't Earth kind of already friends with both Mars and Venus before like this whole lore stuff happened? I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people like this episode, so yeah, probably between C and B. I'll put it in B, but near the bottom. Okay, now we got Surviving Venus Part 2. Okay, I like this better than Part 1, I'll be honest. What do you think?
I do think it's a lot more eventful than Part 1. I like how Astro Dude meets the robots and kind of just finds a way to escape.
Yeah, like the chase scene, and it was kind of the first glimpse of when the planets actually cared about Astro Dude being alive. Well, besides Part 1, of course, but yeah, it was definitely more eventful than Part 1. Part 1 was like more educational, and Part 2 was like more eventful with like that chase and yeah, lore.
I do like how Venus is like trying to like apologize to them, but they find out Astro Dude is alive, and so they're trying to save Astro Dude, but it's the total opposite of what they're doing. They're throwing asteroids.
And I'll get into this later, but unlike Titan, which we shall not mention, Venus actually had somewhat of a valid reason to do what he did. Next up, we got The Adventures of Saturn and Uranus. So this one, like, there were some funny moments in it.
Me and Uranus kind of talked about like a potential lore episode that would be like Uranus wants to hang out with Jupiter and Saturn, and like Saturn welcomes Uranus, but Jupiter suggests that he would get back into his orbit because like if the sun solar flared him, he would like it would cause a lot of damage to him.
It was important to Uranus's character for sure.
I do like this episode because it kind of just makes it a little interesting.
Saturn and Uranus's relationship was cute.
Do you know where Neptune went? His blue has been radiant. I simply have to know his atmosphere camp routine.
Like, what does that mean exactly?
Yes.
Yeah, probably A tier, but near the middle, maybe right there. Now we got the Eris episode, like who's that planet? They changed the title so many times in this one. So like this episode was pretty cool, like them venturing to the outer reaches. It was a good continuation, but honestly I felt like Eris was kind of a random character to introduce. I feel like Haumea would have been a better option, with the whole ring thing. I don't know.
It makes me question like when is the Dwarf Planets episode coming. It kind of got me a little confused.
Yeah, I mean, Eris definitely has potential. I want to see more of her, like her relationship with Pluto. The fact that she's kind of the reason why Pluto was demoted in the first place. So this was pretty good, but I'll probably put it right below, maybe right below the series episode. Down there. Okay. Now we got Why is Neptune Missing? So this one is probably my favorite Neptune episode so far.
I'd say it's good to some extent. I do like how we get to know a little bit more about Neptune. Like he's been orbiting around the solar system for like 160 years, and he kind of lost his mind because he's been all alone.
He probably uses his blue radiant, as Saturn said, to draw faces on the asteroids. So yeah, I want to see more of a continuation of this episode, which I think we were going to get at some point. I don't know what happened. It's probably still coming at some point, but we'll go in A tier, probably right above Meet Neptune. Next up is How to Become an Astronaut. This one, important to the lore, it takes place before any other episode so far.
100% Astro Dude focused. I do like how they kind of brought another YouTuber in to partner with to give potential to their episodes.
If you want to watch a lore-based video rather than just educational, if you're kind of more, this is an episode more for like a mature audience of the show, I feel like. So yeah, give this episode a watch for sure. I mean, yeah, it doesn't really it's probably the only episode that does not focus the planets whatsoever, but it's just like the start of Astro Dude's story, and I think it will be more important once the movie's actually out. But as they always say, a mission with no return date. Boom, A tier. Now we got Why the Moon Landings Were Important. Excuse me if I mispronounced the name, but it was emotional and it showed like Moon's defensive side or protective side of Astro Dude, like kind of moving forward, especially with the whole Titan arc. Like the two of them bond after Astro Dude kind of tells off the Moon for his like reckless action earlier.
I do like how it just like dives into a bit of the past. Just kind of it inspired me, says Astro Dude.
For sure. It's gotta be up here somewhere.
There could have been more potential.
I'll put it here. There we go. Now we got Horror Stories with Venus. This one was fun. It makes total sense. It's kind of accurate to like stripping resources from Earth.
I think it just puts Venus's character up to its height.
Yeah.
It's funny how like Venus is this like toxic planet who has this like really torturous voice and just like tells a scary story to try and make the planet scared.
Venus's silly hour peaked in this episode, I will say that. I'd kill to see more of this side of Venus's character. Like I want this to be his default silly hour character.
I also do like the thumbnail.
Yeah, this one probably right above the early Venus episodes. Now we got the second Sun Trophy episode. The heaviest planet is you and your Sun Trophy episodes. You can do the honors.
I really liked this video. I think it was funny for the most part. Just kind of
like the Sun being a complete hypocrite at the very end of the video.
Like, hey, we're setting up like a Sun competition, and like the winner will be the heaviest planet. Just screw it. Give it a Sun Trophy. Seriously, it was that good in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess I may change it later. I don't know. I
just like how the gas giants are all excited and pumped up because they know like what this Sun Trophy competition, and they know they're gonna win, but it gets ironic as it is at the end.
Yeah, and that small detail of Saturn actually like pointing to Jupiter right away after they hear that, like Saturn being like,
"Oh, did you hear that, Jupiter?
Oh, Jupiter! Looks like it's your lucky day."
My friend Eileen pictures Jupiter and Saturn as kind of a gay couple. As for me, I picture them as like grandparents, sort of, like at least when Saturn's not emotional. Now we got Venus used to have life. Oh boy. Like literally in this episode, the Earth's mental issues just peaked, in my opinion. He will just not admit he's not special. Like
this episode, like it was just Venus and Earth talking to each other, just like getting into a bit of lore about Venus, but it wasn't too, nor was it funny. I think it was just kind of questionable enough how rude it was that the Earth like made fun of Venus.
Yeah, I found it. I honestly like it because it was like emotional at least. Like I don't care. I don't care if these episodes are either educational or lore based, but like it was honestly the closest I actually felt like crying, especially at the end of this episode. I thought it was I know there's gonna be a lot of people like having their own opinions on this episode, but
This is just opinion based. Leave us alone.
I'm struggling where to put this. We have our opinions, but yeah, whatever. Now we got the Lego Planet episode. So this one was like the first Astro Sun focused episode.
I mean, it was all Legos. Like, I like how they still kept the moon and the Earth's voice, except for Venus, and just kind of made him a girl. And
yeah, they did that because it was supposed to be Astro Sun dreaming, like not being aware that the planets actually are alive. Yeah, it's up here. It deserves credit. Kind of in the middle of A list. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy, here we go. Okay, now the Mission to Titan episodes.
Is where the lore begins.
Hell yeah. This is probably where the show peaked, in my opinion. These videos were trending like a day after they were uploaded, so. I was saying this earlier, but like, Titan's evil. I'm just gonna say Titan's evil, at least in part 1, because like unlike Venus, Titan actually like purposely tried to like kind of, I don't want to say get Astrodude killed, but like was forcefully making Astrodude do something rather than like with Venus where he acts out of rage, out of anger, he just like.
It's where Titan like gets a little too far.
As Alvaro says, every character has flaws and there's no like 100% good characters in the show. So Sun Trophy for sure, part 1. But like I don't think anything can top like Can Robots Conquer Space, because like Sar and Astrodude are gonna be like a thing throughout the show, unlike just Titan. So Mission to Titan part 2 now. Like I think I like part 1 better between the two. What do you think?
That's a tricky one for me. I really like part 2 because we get more screen time of Phobos and Deimos.
Yeah.
And I do like how the moon like kind of goes back to Mars and Earth and like kind of checks up on them, like their current, like status. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it also deserves Sun Trophy. I'm gonna put it right next to the part 1, probably right there. Yeah, and especially the ending, like, which are gonna lead to 2 separate arcs, like the Moon Revolution with like, I think it's time for a change, and with Astrodude, like with that alien on board.
Uranus here, like, just clearly predicted the future. The Moons of Jupiter episode.
Yeah, and I got in trouble for doing that, so I just have to be careful with that in the future. Yeah. Okay, now we got the Is Space a Simulation episode. So, yeah, this one's kind of meh. Yeah.
Just put it in D.
It was just talking about Minecraft. I mean, is kind of a question people may have, like, in real life, like, whether the universe is a simulation or not, but, like.
I mean, it's obvious that we're not living in a situation of questioning life a lot.
It would probably have to be lower. I feel bad putting anything in D, because, like.
I mean, I didn't think it was an important video.
Okay, now we got the Earth Trash episode. So, in my opinion, this beats out the previous episode, like the space trash problem. It was okay, I think B tier. I mean, to be fair, like, compared to the last trash episode, at least, this one was, like, more emotional and definitely more mature, for sure. And it did kind of give an explanation to, like, start the whole, like, colonizing Mars arc for Astrodude, so. Probably put it right above, like, the What is Earth Building episode. But, like, the next episode, the Earth has rings. Oh, boy, this one was good.
I don't think it goes above A.
The thing I like most about this episode, besides like Mercury and Venus actually getting along for once, is Venus like with his continuation of him like having obsession with rings, like, oh come on, they're so beautiful.
And I just like how it gives a bit of character of who who Earth is. He's like stupid and all, and just like kind of gets disgusting with the space trash around him.
It had good character moments for all 3 of them, I think. Even Mercury. Yeah, this one higher up on the A tier for sure. They're kind of the main characters rather than the gas giants, I feel like. Well, they all are. SolarBalls is more of an ensemble show, like it's about everyone. So now we got my partner, the sun. So this was a promotion of like what we have currently in the Solar Drops.
This one was top comedy.
Yes. Hands down beats out this episode over here. Okay. This one, okay, I'm gonna have to put in Sun Trophy. Probably kind of near the bottom of Sun Trophy because, like, compared to the others with lore, I mean, it's not important, but...
Did I startle you? Get it? Startle?
And we'll burn so much money!
And we'll burn so much money!
Yeah, you have a way better sun voice than I do. We got the introduction of Human Buddy, which, I believe it was called, like, what if your body was exposed to the vacuum of space? Now, I consider this, I guess, a continuation of, like, is space bad for you? I mean, between the two, I mean, you could just go watch that episode, but... I mean, Astro Dude's, like, the main character, so it has to have some kind of education with, like, astronaut-related stuff, but I don't think it was as good as, like, is space bad for you, in my opinion?
B tier. I mean, it wasn't too eventful. It just kind of advertises a new channel.
Yeah, which is okay, but yeah, I'll probably put it near the top of B tier. I mean, it's good for what it got. Okay, we got Is Space Magic? Okay, this one, the most important moment in this scene is we finally figure out how the planets got their cards.
This one is complicated. Like Uranus was saying, like, I do like how we get an idea of how the planets get their cards, but, like, I feel like...
I'll just say, I think, I don't know exactly what to say about the Derek episode, like how to become an astronaut, but I think, at least with the shorter videos, I think this was my favorite video that included another YouTuber. I liked it better than the Steve Taylor episode, but, yeah, I'll probably put it in the middle of the A tier. Right there, that's an appropriate spot. I know we were ranking pretty much all the episodes within the first year of SolarBalls, but because this video, we're doing it right after the Moons of Jupiter Part 1, we might as well just include that one. We can't really make a decision on this episode until we get, like, Part 2, of course, and, like, frankly, the rest of the Moon Revolution episodes, but the Moons of Jupiter Part 1, this is very tricky to rank. Like, it was definitely good. Like, it was definitely very exciting with the lore base and, like, so many new faces, but I don't know. I don't think it quite tops, like, the Mission to Titan episodes, or maybe even, like, Surviving Venus, but, like, my opinion is definitely gonna change. I mean, this is only Part 1, and we haven't even got started with the Moon Revolution, but I just feel like Saturn's moons, especially Titan, were just way more interestingly developed than, like, Ganymede just being, like, a high school jock.
Yeah.
Like, go have a watch of the episode. Like, you guys will have your own opinions on this, but, like, I mean, the Galilean moons definitely fit into SolarBalls well. They feel like SolarBalls characters. Like, obviously, all the characters have their sort of, like, high school, young adult niche to fill in with their personalities, so...
Uranus had a clever idea of who the characters are like.
Yeah, like, hands down, Callisto is probably the best part of this episode. My opinion definitely will change later on, but I think for now, I'm definitely going to put this on the top, near the top of the A tier, but not quite up there. But in conclusion, I think I'm pretty happy with how the list turned out so far, and here's the final version. We kind of fixed up some stuff here and there, like I accidentally ranked one of the Sun Trophy episodes too low, and...
This was really hard.
I don't know, we may have been a little hard on some of the Earth trash building stuff episodes, I don't know, but... And again, like, go support the SolarBalls channel, like, they're just amazing the way they support their fans, and, like, their main focus is, like, continue pushing out long content for us fans to enjoy. So, and again, this video is not us hating on any of these episodes whatsoever, but, like, this was hard for us, okay? I mean, yeah, there are episodes that are better than others. That's all I can say in summary.
SolarBalls does upload great content, but still.
Tell me your thoughts, and again, opinion-based, so obviously you guys are gonna dislike an episode we love, or like an episode that we put lower, but yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I'm gonna hopefully do a ranking video like this, but with characters, maybe thumbnails. Stay tuned for that. Take care.
See you guys.